Just the other day, I was thinking about how there are so many male video game characters out there. Some tough as nails, some funny, heroic, and some who are straight up villains. With so many amazing video game protagonists and characters out there, I wondered if any of these would make good role models. After considering all of the male characters that I'm aware of, I came up with the top 10 male role models in video games. Despite Sully being a pretty shady guy, his actions in the Uncharted series showcase that at the end of the day, he truly is a good guy with a big heart. When Sully first encounters Nathan Drake, a 15-year-old kid living on the streets fending for himself through theft, he doesn't abandon him. Although it's clear that Sully was also using Nathan to help him get treasure, it's the things that he actually does that have landed him on the list. He took Nathan under his wing, protecting and teaching him the things he would need to know in order to survive. Sully helped rescue Nate time and time again throughout his life, including rescuing him from imprisonment or even just being willing to risk his own life to protect Nate. Sully saw a lost kid with no one to look after him and became a mentor to him. For many who may wish that they could have had a father figure in their lives, several may have imagined someone as compassionate and guiding as Victor Sullivan. Joker is a great example of someone who wasn't exactly dealt the best cards in life but didn't let it hold him back. Born with a rare disease that causes his bones to be very brittle and fracture easily, he dreamed of becoming a pilot. He focused through school, almost never smiling due to how much of a workaholic he was, earning his nickname. After surpassing all his fellow students and even the instructors, he applied to fly the Normandy. He was discriminated against and denied the opportunity to pilot the Normandy due to his disability. Albeit in a not-so-legal way, he went on to prove that he was one of the greatest pilots alive, granting himself the position he worked so hard for. Not long after, he found himself on missions so important that the entire galaxy often rested on his piloting skills alone. Most people think of Joker as a sassy guy who only cracks jokes, but I think he's a fantastic role model for those who need that encouragement to overcome or find a way to excel despite the disabilities they may have.
Carlos from Resident Evil 3 didn't realize that he was working for the bad guys. During the outbreak of Raccoon City, Carlos is trying to rescue civilians when he encounters Jill Valentine, who warns him that he can't trust his employer. As the story goes on, he realizes that he's being lied to and manipulated. It becomes his mission to save Jill and get her out of the city. He goes on to protect her when she gets infected and can't defend herself. He's willing to put his life on the line in order to save her and get a cure for the outbreak. Although Carlos was working for the wrong side initially, he immediately course corrects and does the right thing as soon as he realizes the truth. To me, this showcases his bravery and ability to stand up for what he knows is right. By the end of the game, he's even willing to sacrifice his own life in order to stop the main antagonist of the story.
Isaac Clarke is one of my favorite characters in video game history, not just because he is an absolute badass in Dead Space, but because he is a great example of a strong role model when it comes to being a good partner. When his girlfriend Nicole gets offered a great opportunity on a ship called the Ishimura, he supports and encourages her to take the job, even though they will be apart for some time. After the ship goes missing, Isaac volunteers to be part of the rescue mission. What follows is an absolute horror as Isaac faces countless evils in a hellish place where the likelihood of Nicole being alive is practically zero. Despite it becoming clear that Nicole is likely no longer alive, Isaac continues to search for his love, even to the point of slowly losing his mind. As tragic as the story is, the fact that Isaac cared so much for his partner that he would be willing to go through emotional and physical hell just for the slim chance of saving her showcases the type of selflessness that so many out there likely wish they could find in a partner. Even in later games in the series, Isaac is still willing to go through nightmarish hell just to protect those he cares for. As a child, Leon Kennedy was rescued by a police officer after a very traumatic childhood left him orphaned and alone. Despite his rough upbringing, he was determined to protect and save others just like he was. Inspired by his rescuer, he decided to become a police officer as well. On his way to his first job, Raccoon City fell to the zombie outbreak. Going through the station, he helped many of those who he encountered along the way. He did so well, in fact, that following these events, he was picked up by the government, who was so impressed with him that they gave him expert training as a special agent. With his new combat efficiency and experience in Raccoon City, he was given even more opportunities to help save others, even leading to him being sent on a mission to rescue the president's daughter. Although Leon may be more on the quieter, tough side, his dedication to putting others before himself is very noble. In my experience, many who have traumatic childhoods can struggle to overcome their trauma, but Leon uses his trauma as a fuel to push himself into a position to make sure that no one else would have to go through what he went through.
While investigating Saren in the first Mass Effect game, Garrus realized that he was never going to find justice while working as an officer. With corruption and regulation preventing him from bringing down a major criminal, he abandons his career and joins with Commander Shepard not only to bring down Saren, but ultimately to save the whole galaxy. Yes, Garrus may waste a lot of time calibrating the Normandy, but it's more about what Garrus stands for that lands him on this list. He believes strongly in defending life and changing the world. And even during his time away from Shepard, he takes it upon himself to eradicate crime on Omega, a place literally run by crime. Despite all the roadblocks that were put in front of him in life, he persevered and found himself in a position to actually do what he lives for. Garrus is a great role model because of his passionate drive to live a selfless life and to defend not just his community, not just his race, but every species and race in the galaxy for a better future.
Ethan Winters may not exactly be a name that you'd think to hear on this list, but he actually showcases fantastic traits that I find to be very admirable. Nearly 3 years after his wife's disappearance, he receives an unusual video email from her. Despite her being presumed deceased from a hurricane, he drives across the country to find his lost wife. He finds her, but not all is as it seems. As she flips between attacking Ethan and wanting to be saved, he has to go through hell again and again to rescue her. Later on, when his daughter gets taken, he ventures into another nightmarish hell to save her. Ethan goes on to continuously give life and limb to protect his family and show no fear. Although Ethan might go underlooked, I think that a partner/parent who is willing to risk it all to defend and save their family is absolutely a role model to look up to. When searching for male characters to add to this list, I really wasn't expecting as many horror games to make it in, but Miles from Outlast is yet another great example of a role model. Miles is a journalist willing to risk it all for the truth. When he enters Mount Massive Asylum, he had no idea the true hell he was walking into. Armed only with a camera, he doesn't attempt to just escape or grab quick pictures and get out. No. Miles makes his way throughout the asylum as all sorts of beings come after him, documenting everything, all for the sake of the truth, while he tries to escape. I think Miles is a great role model for those who seek truth and want to help others become aware of the realities of our world. With journalists sometimes being portrayed as villains in films, or not being as trustworthy in the real world as many would assume, having a character like Miles being so dedicated to the truth in his reporting was something very refreshing and nice to see. This dedication definitely makes for a great role model, but if you ever find yourself on Mount Massive Asylum, I suggest you just get out as soon as possible. Lee Everett was a history professor who made a mistake that he carried with him into the apocalypse. After accidentally ending the senator that he caught having an affair with his wife, he was well on his way to prison. Since this is The Walking Dead though, the outbreak began during his transit, but he does manage to get out alive. While wandering the nearby area, he comes across a young girl named Clementine. Realizing that this child was alone and likely not going to make it, he protects her and attempts to get her back to her family, despite the likelihood that her family very well may be amongst the undead. Lee goes on a long journey striving to protect Clementine, and by the end of the game, the sacrifices that Lee makes to ensure that she is protected or can protect herself showcases how much he cared for the innocent, those who were unable to defend themselves. I think Lee is a great role model because he shows that despite his past mistakes, despite him living during an apocalypse, and despite needing to take care of himself, he puts an innocent life before his own because not even the end of the world will destroy his humanity. Although there are already 2 other Mass Effect characters on the list, to me, a Paragon Commander Shepard really was the obvious choice for number 1.
Commander Shepard is not only trying to save the entire galaxy from destruction, but he has to do so while his galactic leaders undermine his efforts and refuse to take his claims seriously. This puts Shepard in the position of having to do what's right without the support of those in power.
Shepard is someone who inspires those on his crew to be better people, and most of them know that he would die for any one of them if it came down to it.
In fact, there are multiple occasions across the Mass Effect trilogy where Shepard is willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for all life. He defends and helps everyone, despite their race, religion, politics, or even if they've made mistakes that others wouldn't forgive. A Paragon Commander Shepard exemplifies what it means to be a role model.
Not only does he showcase the traits of a selfless leader and inspire his crew, but he inspires countless others throughout the galaxy with his bravery and leadership. Shepard doesn't gain his position of Spectre by who he knows or what he looks like. In a galactic government that looks down on humans and often treats them with disdain and racism, Shepard had a lot to prove and did so through his dedication, hard work, and self-sacrifice.
Shepard is loyal to his loved ones and would move the stars for them if he could. I think all of these traits make Commander Shepard the best male role model in video games.
But what do you think? I know that role models can be a somewhat divisive topic to some people, so I understand that one person's idea of what a good role model is can really depend on their own opinion on what constitutes good morals. So if there are any characters that you think deserve to be on this list or others that you think shouldn't have been on this list, leave a comment below and we can discuss it. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to check out my next video, Top 10 Female Role Models in Video Games. I hope that each and every one of you has a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.